Welcome back, children. Children, today I am going to begin explanation of chapter number 2, the Vedic period. As you can see, given in the book, the syllabus. Now, which are the topics which we have to cover? We have to study the sources of the Vedic period. Now, which are the sources? Vedas and epics, as well as iron artifacts and pottery. That means we have the literary sources as well as the archaeological sources. Where else, in this chapter, we have to also study about the comparative study of the two phases of the Vedic period. That means the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. Children, here first we will see about the time period of the Vedic period. It is divided into two phases. Okay. The first one is your early Vedic period. So early Vedic period, as you can see, so the time period mentioned is 1500 BC to 1000 BC. Okay. So this is your early Vedic period or early Vedic phase. So now children, here, why it is said to be early Vedic period? According to the scholars and historians, they refer the period when the Aryans came to India and they settled. Okay, so that time period when the Aryans, they came to India, they settled. So that is mentioned, that is termed as your the early Vedic period. So remember about the time period. Now, between 1000 BC to 500 BC, when iron had come to be used, it is believed that Aryans followed the course of the rivers and settled along the valley of the Yamuna and the Ganga. Now, question is that who are the Aryans? Because when we say Vedic period, so that period about which we know from the Vedas. Okay, so that is termed as your Vedic period, and definitely in that particular period some people must be living. So who are those people? So according to the sources which we find, we come to know that the people who lived in that time, they were your Aryans. Now who are the Aryans? So there are many theories about the originality, that from where they have come. Here you can see on page number 20. On page number 20, you can see a column is given which tells about the origin of the Aryans. Okay, so this part we will study later, not today, but for your little knowledge, for your this beginning information, Aryans were the group of migrants who have migrated to India from Central Asia. Okay, this is the most accepted theory which was given by Professor Max Muller, the German scholar. So that part I will explain you later. So talking about the Aryans, so they have arrived from the Central Asia. Okay. So what did they do? So since they were searching new land, so that is why they followed the river course. Okay. So it is believed that the Aryans, they followed the path of the rivers and finally they settled along the valleys of Yamuna and the Ganga. And if you remember, at the time while I taught you chapter number 1, the Harappan civilization, one of the major cause of decline of that civilization was considered to be attacked by the foreigners. Okay. So now who were the foreigners? It is said that they were the Aryan. So at the time of migrating towards India, so that is why definitely they must have met the people of the later Harappan civilization, and in order to capture that area they must have fought. Okay, and the Aryans, they were the one who were using the iron tools. So that is why they were far more superior. They were the people who were having war tendency. Okay, since they have to migrate, so that is why in order to capture any area, it was very important that they should be and they should love this war. Okay, so that is why they must have migrated to India like this way. Now the iron tools help them to clear the forest. So now since they have already started to use the iron they were using, so that is why iron, this metal, it was far better compared to the other metals which were popular at that time, okay, which were used at that time. So iron was that implement or that tool which helped them in order to clear the forest, okay. They moved in the eastward and the southeastward directions. Irons, so far nomadic in nature. Since they were nomadic in nature, they did not have their origin home. Since they have left their home, their native land, and they have been moving here and there in order to search new land. Okay, so that is why they were nomadic. So gradually they started to settle in the valley near the river Ganga. This period is known as the later Vedic age. So, which period is known as later Vedic age? That period when they started to settle near the Gangetic Valley. That means your 1000 BC. 1000 BC to 500 BC. Okay, 500 BC. So, this is called as your early phase. Okay, and this one later. So that is why here we have two phases or two stages of the Vedic period. So now children, the culture of the period is referred to as the Vedic culture because it was based on the Vedic text. If you're asked the question like in previous chapter why the Indus Valley civilization was termed as Indus Valley, okay, because that civilization it flourished near the banks of Indus tributaries, okay, or why it was known as Harappan civilization because the first site which was excavated that was Harappan, okay. So similarly, why this period, why this time period is mentioned as your Vedic period in the Indian history, because here we find that the Vedas, so they were written, they were composed during this time period. So that is why it is related to the Vedas or to the Vedic text. So that is why this time period is referred as your Vedic period. Children, now beginning with the sources. Which are the sources? Remember, we have the literary sources as well as the archaeological sources. So under your literary sources, as you can see given in the book, the very first source you can see is the Vedas. Now, which are the Vedas? Mainly they are four in number, the Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. You should also have a pencil with you and keep on underlining the important points. You will read this chapter and keep on underlining. Some of the points I will ask you to underline in the video itself. Like the Vedic text may be divided into two broad chronological groups. So according to the composition, the year when these Vedic texts were composed, when they were written. So Vedic texts also they can be also divided into two groups. Okay. Here number one is your 1500 to 1000 BC. So that means your early Vedic time period. Okay. When most of the hymns of the Rig Veda was composed. Rig Veda is considered as the oldest text. Okay. So that is why here it is that period when the Rig Veda was composed. And the later Vedic text, that means the time period of the later Vedic period, isn't it? So it is that time period to which belong the remaining Veda, the other parts of the Vedas and their subparts. Subparts means branches. Now which are they? Some of them are Brahmanas, Aranyaks, Upanishads, etc. Okay. Now the two periods correspond to the two phases of Aryan expansion in India. So when you will study these two time period, especially in the religious text, children, we get an idea that how Aryan they started to come and settle in India and what was the kind of society, as well as the next time period when they had already settled properly and which other social activities or religious activities were going on at that time which were practiced. Okay, so that means two phases. Now, what information do you get after studying the religious text? You get information about the social, economic, political and religious aspects of the life of the people, which has been mentioned very nicely in the Vedic literatures. So that is why Vedas are also referred as the storehouses of knowledge. Now, Veda. We hear this term Veda. So it is a Sanskrit word which means knowledge. Okay, it has been derived from the Sanskrit word Ved. You may underline this point. It has been originated from the Sanskrit word Ved, which means knowledge. Children, Vedic literature is divided into two parts. Now, which are the two parts? They are your Shruti and Smriti. Now, talking about Shruti, so Shruti, now according to the Vedic literature, it is believed that Shruti was revealed to the sages by God. That means the knowledge, the information about God and other things. So that was revealed, that was disclosed to the ancient sages. And who had told them? It was told to them by God. Okay, so it is believed like this. So Shruti was revealed to the sages by God, and they passed on that knowledge orally from generation to generation. So that is why Shruti, that means hearing. Okay, so Shruti, the knowledge which was passed from one generation to next generation orally. So that information is referred as your Shruti. Talking about Smriti, children, on the other hand, Smriti literature was composed by the rishis. So that means in the written form we have the information. So Vedic literature, it is divided into different categories, as you can see. Number one, the four Vedas. Next is your Brahmanas. Okay, again one more Vedic literature. Brahmanas attached to each Samhita. So all these big books have their small subparts. Okay, as well as we have Aranyaks and Upanishads. Children, you have to study the chapter in detail. So I will mention only the important points. Rig Veda, you have to mark it that it is the oldest religious text as well as known as the first testament of mankind. Okay. Now it is divided into 10 mandals. Okay. Underline that also. And it is said that it was composed during the early Vedic period. The hymns were dedicated by the sages to gods. That means in order to praise the god, in order to worship the god, the hymns were composed. They were passed on orally from one generation to another. As well as the Rig Vedic hymns are the authentic sources of knowledge of the life of people of the time. What information do we get from the hymns of the Rig Veda? So you have to underline this thing, that we get information about the life of the people of that time. As well as maximum portion of the Indian philosophy, it is based on the text of Rig Veda. It also contains the famous Gayatri mantra, which is world famous. So it has come from Rig Veda only. Okay. As well as, although this Veda is religious in nature, the Vedas are a valuable sources of information on different subjects. Come to the next Veda, that is your Samveda. So the term Sam means sweet song or the melody. Okay. Now in this Veda, some of the hymns are borrowed. They had been taken from the Rig Veda. And why? What was the reason? Since sweet song, so that means it was composed in the form of song and it was sung by the Brahmins, the priests, especially at the time of sacrifice. Yajurveda, it deals with the hymns which were recited during the performance of yajnas. That means yagya. Okay. The hymns in this Veda throw light on the social and religious life of the Aryans. Atharva Veda, it contained or it dealt with magic and charm. So it contained such kind of rituals which were related to perform different magics or different spells. Most of the hymns are taken from the Rig Veda. Now besides the power of spirits, the hymns deal, that means there were in mention of different powerful spirits, the supernatural spirits, as well as it also dealt with information like Gyan, Karma and Upasana. Okay. So some hymns of Atharva Veda, they also dealt with the treatment of different diseases. Okay. Now come to the next religious text, that is called as your Brahmanas. So written after the Vedas, Okay, so Brahmanas, they belong to your later Vedic period. So they were composed, they were written after the Vedas only. So what do they include? So they explain the social and religious importance of rituals as well as the value of sacrifices. Now the people at that time, they may question that what is the importance of these rituals which we perform. So the answer was given in the Brahmanas, that what was the importance, why these things were required to be practiced by any Vedic person at that time, any person at that time, living at that time. So the Brahmanas are of great historical value. Why? Because each Veda has several Brahmana. That means several parts, subparts we can say. Next Vedic source or next info this book we have is your Aranyaks. Aranyaks, it has come from the term Aranya, which means forest. So that is why they are termed as your forest books. Okay. And who had written? It was written. So they were written for the guidance of the hermits and the students who were living in forest. Since we will come to know that special kind of education prevailed at that time, that was known as your Gurukul system. So those people, the hermits and the students who lived inside the forest, so what kind of life they have to live, so they have to live, so that was mentioned in the Aranyaks. So they form the concluding part of the Brahmanas. So Brahmanas, it contained many things related to the importance of the practice of Vedas, and we have the concluding book. So what is that concluding book, children? That is your Aranyaks. Okay. So their main themes are mysticism and philosophy. Talking about the next important book, Upanishads. So Upanishad, so they are the philosophical commentaries on the Vedas. So they include information regarding karma, moksha, maya. Keep underlining. Okay. Now, it is the base of the Indian philosophy, and it was composed by many sages of that time. They are said to form the foundation on which many other Vedic literature they rely on. Okay, and given below you can see some of the important Upanishads. You may underline that and try to learn it. Okay, the most famous of these Upanishads are Chandogya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, and Taittiriya Upanishad. So they are named after different sages who had written this Upanishad. Okay. Now next you can see the heading Allied Vedic Literature. Children, Allied Vedic Literature, that means they are actually the auxiliary, the helping Vedic literature. Such books which actually help in showing more importance of the Vedas in anyone's life. Now, or they work or they function as the supplementary book, I would say. Okay. So we have several books as your Vedangas. So Vedangas, that means the Ang of Vedas. Okay. So Vedanga, that means the sub parts of the Veda. So keep on underlining the important points here. In the Vedangas, what do they contain? So they were supposed to be chanted, sung. Okay. And why it was supposed to be chanted? So that people can understand and they can learn it by heart easily. So the 6 Vedangas deal with the pronunciation, grammar, etymology, metrics, and astronomy. So the Vedangas, it deal with the ways. It used to tell Vedangas, it gives information that how any hymn in Vedas was supposed to be chanted. Okay. The sutras. So that was also divided into 3 groups. Like here, Srota Sutra, which deal with the yajnas and sacrifices. Grihasya Sutra, so that dealt with the uh, important rituals connected to any family life. The Dharma Sutras, so it provided different rules of conduct for various category of people as well as for any person's various stages of life. Okay. Then we have Upavedas. So Upveda, by the name only it is clear, that means the subsidiary. Okay, subsidiary Vedas. So they were again 4 in number, in which you have already heard these terms. We have Ayurveda, which deals with medicine. We have Dhanur Veda, which deals with the art of warfare. Dhanur, okay, that means related to the weapon only. Gandharva Veda, which describes the art of music, and Shilpa Veda, which deals with art and architecture. Okay, so like this way, many information were related in the Upvedas. Then we have Darshans, okay, that is termed as the Darshanas. So as you can see that there are 6 schools of Indian philosophy, underline that and you learn it. So what information do you get from Darshans? So they all propagate the virtues of life and are opposed to external rituals. They emphasize on the importance of the moral values, okay, and prohibit the external, the outer show off rituals. Talking about the Dharma Shastra. Now, what are Dharma Shastras? Dharma Shastras were the law books. Okay. So, the law books called the Dharma Sutras and the Smritis together with their commentaries are called Dharma Shastras. So, that means a combination of two kinds of book. Which are they, children? The Dharma Sutras and the Smritis. Together they were combined to make Dharma Shastras. Now, what was included? They lay down the duties. It told about the duties which has to be performed by the kings, okay, as well as the people and the officials. Manusmriti gives the description of Hindu code of law, including the caste system and the ashram system, okay, the different stages of any life. Next book we have, children, Ashtadhyayi. That means Ashtadhyayi. So by the name all, that means it must be having 8 parts. It is a treatise on Sanskrit grammar by Panini. Information is given about the roots of the words and the context in which they were used in Vedic literature. Who has written? Panini. Remember this thing. Next important literary source you can see, children, they are the epics. So epics, we have 2 important epics, the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Children, this will be your homework, that you have to read information about the Ramayana and Mahabharata by your own. Okay, I will not read it. You are already aware, many of us are already aware. So that is why it will be easy for you to read out and have a revision. Talking about Mahabharata, children, Mahabharata. So what else you're supposed to know about the story, as well as it was written in which language. That means they both were composed in Sanskrit language. And who was the writer? Ramayana was written by Maharishi Valmiki, whereas Mahabharata, it was the work of Ved Vyas. Okay, so like this way you have to know information about them. Now, apart from this, we have Bhagavad Gita also. So Bhagavad Gita is the important part of Mahabharata, and it is one of the most popular religious texts which is considered sacred by many people in different parts of India. Why? Because it is such a book, it is that part of Mahabharata which tell about when there is a problem between the selection, when we have choice that whether shall we perform duty or shall we do the work morally. So Bhagavad Gita is the book which guides any person to act in whichever situation. Okay, so that is the secret of the undying popularity of this religious text. So it teaches that the soul is immortal. Now I'll discuss the importance of the epics. Why epics are important? Okay, now you can see many points are given, which, like, number 1, it is a common point that it is the main source of information about the political institution, social aspect and cultural aspect, okay, of the people, of the Rajas, Maharajas of that time. As well as they provide information on various Aryan kingdoms. We come to know about the kingdoms, the important, the smaller, the bigger kingdoms which were popular or not so popular at that time. So, and we also get information about the kind of army, the kinds of weapon they used, and we also come to know about the duties allotted to different category of people. For example, The Kshatriyas were responsible for taking care for defending any kingdom. Okay, so that is why their life was considered as the noble life. Now, what else is important in epic? The epics are considered as the finest literary work for the ancient period and are acclaimed for their literary and philosophical value. They reveal the high ideals of family life of the Aryan. So family is considered as one of the most important and purest unit of any society. Okay, so the family values were highlighted. The great heroes who are mentioned in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So they are mentioned in both epics, and the heroes were described to be such personalities which contain or which possess high moral principles, and they made a great impact on the coming generation, and people were expected to follow or behave like them only. The Bhagavad Gita elaborates the karma, philosophy, and the immortality of the soul. Children, given below this importance of the epics, you can also see in a column story of Mahabharata is given. So that is also for your self study. You will read it as your homework. Okay. So children, in today's video, I'll stop my explanation part till here only. Today, I have explained you about the literary sources of the Vedic period. And tomorrow, I'll be continuing with the next source. So let us meet tomorrow. Till then, take care.